You're trapped inside a tiny submarine, 3,000 meters beneath the ocean. The walls are surrounded by crushing pressure, your oxygen is running out, and there's nowhere to escape. But the biggest danger isn't drowning, it's what happens if the submersible loses power. So, if you were trapped down there, could you actually survive? The hull creaks once, and somewhere in the pitch-black water outside, the ocean is pressing in with more force than you can comprehend. At extreme ocean depths, water pressure can exceed 1,000 times what the human body experiences at sea level. That's not a small margin for error. That's an environment actively trying to crush anything hollow inside it. Most people assume a submersible failure means a slow leak, water trickling in as pressure builds. It doesn't usually work that way. Engineers describe catastrophic implosion as happening faster than the human brain can even register it. Dr. Robert Ballard, an oceanographer who has spent decades exploring deep-sea environments, has studied exactly how pressure interacts with underwater vehicle design. His research highlights something most people never expect. At depth, a hull isn't fighting a slow squeeze. It's holding back a force capable of collapsing steel almost instantaneously if the structure fails. An implosion at extreme depth can occur in a matter of milliseconds, far faster than a human nervous system can process pain or fear. Which means, in the worst-case failure, there is effectively no window for suffering. The event and its end happen essentially simultaneously. So why do submersibles get built to withstand such extreme pressure in the first place? Because the deep ocean doesn't get gradually more dangerous with depth, it scales dramatically. Water pressure increases by roughly 1 atmosphere for every 33 feet of depth, which means a vehicle rated for shallow water isn't just slightly unprepared for the deep ocean, it's catastrophically unprepared by orders of magnitude. Here's the part almost nobody expects. Submersible hulls are typically designed with significant safety margins beyond their rated operating depth. Materials like titanium and specially engineered carbon composites are chosen specifically for their strength-to-weight ratio under sustained pressure, which means the entire vehicle is essentially a carefully calculated bet against physics, built with enormous margins, specifically because the consequences of being wrong are so severe. Now, think about what actually causes these vehicles to fail. Historical submersible incidents have often been traced back to structural fatigue, material defects, or design choices that didn't fully account for repeated pressure cycling over time. Unlike a single dramatic failure, some structural weaknesses develop gradually through repeated dives that stress the same materials again and again. Which means the deep ocean doesn't need to find a hull's weakness on a first dive, it can wait patiently across dozens of previous seemingly successful ones. Here's where the story gets stranger.
Modern deep-sea research programs rely on extensive testing protocols, including pressure testing hulls beyond their rated limits before ever carrying passengers. Classification societies and engineering review boards exist specifically to certify vessels meant for extreme depth operation, which means the difference between a safe deep-sea vehicle and a dangerous one often comes down to whether it went through this independent verification process at all. So, what actually happens during search and rescue if a submersible goes missing? Deep-sea search operations rely on sonar mapping and remotely operated vehicles capable of reaching depths humans cannot survive unprotected. Time becomes a critical factor, since onboard oxygen supply for most submersibles is calculated in hours, not days. Which means for any survivable emergency rather than catastrophic failure, the true race is against a slowly depleting oxygen supply, not the crushing pressure itself. Here's the part researchers find particularly telling. Deep-sea exploration has expanded dramatically since early 20th century bathysphere dives, each generation of vehicles built on lessons from the ones before. Every certified deep-sea vessel today exists within a framework shaped directly by decades of engineering data and, unfortunately, past failures. Which means today's safety standards weren't built from theory alone, they were built from understanding exactly where the ocean has already found weaknesses before. So, could you actually survive getting trapped in a deep-sea submersible? For a properly certified, well-maintained vessel, the odds favour the engineering enormously. A quiet descent, pressure building silently outside a hull built specifically to resist it. A margin of safety calculated with extraordinary care. That margin isn't decoration, it's the entire reason humans can visit an environment that would otherwise allow no survivable mistakes at all. The deep ocean has existed in crushing darkness for billions of years, indifferent to anything built to enter it. And maybe that's the real reframe.
We think of the ocean's depths as a place we visit, a frontier we're gradually conquering with technology. But every successful dive is really a temporary agreement, upheld only as long as the engineering holds its end of an unforgiving bargain. The real defense against the deep ocean was never outsmarting the pressure, it's making sure nothing built to hold it back was ever allowed to guess.